Well, it's 2025 and eBay has changed its private seller fees. Well, let's face it, it was expected, wasn't it? It wasn't going to be free forever. I'm going to try and give you a bit of clarity on these new charges. Well, they're calling them seller protection fees. And when is this going to happen? It's going to happen on the 4th of February 2025. Now, of course, this is for private sellers, and I'm fully aware that there's a lot of business sellers on eBay that get the absolute shits about people using their private account to sell items, I suppose, as a business. But look, let's face it, that's what people do. I spoke to resellers that had business accounts that have moved to a private account to try and absolve their fees or at least reduce them. So look, let's move on from that, because that's not what this is about. This is about this new seller protection fee. So if you buy anything up to £300 on eBay, you're going to pay a 4% charge plus a 75p kind of buy fee. This charge is for the buyer. The seller still gets the same amount of money. Reading through the small print, from what I've understood, what's going to happen is when you list an item, and at the bottom, you basically get to see your fees. There's going to be an additional section that's going to add on the buyer protection fee, and then it will pump out the final fee the customer is going to pay. So let's say it's 100 quid. So the buyer's going to pay 4%, 4 quid, plus 75p, 475. So at the bottom, I think what's going to happen is you'll probably see your charge, 100 quid, and then imagine a separate line where we used to see fee, you're going to see buyer protection fee, and then it'll pump out the 104.75, and that's what the buyer is going to pay. Anything above £300 up to £4,000, it's going to be 2%. Gee whiz, that is going to eat into the margin a little bit. But do you know what? There is one massive change which is going to affect cash flow. And this for me is the biggest change out of everything that's going to happen. And that is when you get paid. So this is going to be the third payment change eBay has made in the past 12 months. Obviously, since private sellers got free listings and the money went into this kind of eBay pool that you then had to extract out yourself. You couldn't set your own payment schedule, which wasn't a big issue. It just meant that you had to withdraw it manually as often as you wanted once the funds had cleared. But what's going to happen now is that you're going to have to wait 2 days after the delivered notification to receive your money. Now, I've read a couple of conflicting pieces of notifications on eBay here. One said that the payment is going to be automated like it used to be, and one said that your eBay account is going to get kind of funded and you're going to have to withdraw it. So I might have to follow that up with another video, because I'd read two separate pieces of literature on the eBay website about payments. One of the most common questions I got when I posted this video on TikTok was, as you're going to guess, it's going to open the floodgates for scamming, which potentially could happen. Ultimately, you're going to have to now make sure that you use a tracked delivered service for absolutely everything you sell if you want to make sure that you get paid within the 2 days. Because do you know what? If you do not get that tracked notification, you're going to have to wait 14 days. So the 2 days and the 14 days are actually working days. They don't include bank holidays. So if you get a sale on a bank holiday, you're going to have to wait another 1, 2 or 3 days. How long is a bank holiday? I don't know. Let's say up to 3 days, plus the 2 days originally, plus the time it takes you to pack and post the item. So I wouldn't be expecting to receive any money from between 4 and 7 days, depending on whether or not it's a bank holiday or not. When we're looking at the 14 days, you could be waiting up to 17 days to get paid, which is absolute bonkers and crazy for cash flow. Now, we said before, it's just going to open up the floodgates for scamming. Potentially, yeah. I think that if you don't send anything tracked, you are going to be kind of finger in the wind as to whether or not you've got a nice, clean, honest buyer. I got to be honest, I checked out all my sales and I use the Royal Mail Business parcel service online. So it's connected to my eBay. My sales go into that system and I literally just add in the weight, what service I want, press update, pay for it, and then mark as dispatched, and it updates the eBay transaction with the tracking number and the postal service. And I checked the past 6 months and I didn't have one missed delivered notification apart from 2 that weren't sent 24-hour or 48-hour tracked. So I think the massive change here is that if you are selling small priced items, I think your postal cost is going to go up and you might be priced out the market because of this protection fee. So in this video, I did want to tackle some of the comments that were made, and I got about 400 comments. Some of the most common questions there were obviously the scamming potentially opened the doors, eBay's finished, buying's finished. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure. It really depends on how much margin you've got in your item. I honestly don't think eBay's finished. Let's put this into perspective. If you've got an item that you've bought for say 30 quid and you're going to sell it for 100, the buyer is going to pay 104.75. So there's nothing stopping you from reducing your price to about 96 quid, absorbing some of that buyer protection fee and still making it competitive for someone to buy. So if you wanted to sell it for 100 quid, you'll just have to drop the price. The reality of it is you're probably going to lose a little bit of margin. Maybe you'll lose that 4% that the buyer protection fee has incurred. But I suppose let's look at it this way. Even if you absorbed half of it, you're still only paying 2.5%, 3% to use the eBay platform to sell. And I don't know what your comments are going to be, and comment and let me know what you think about this. I don't think it's that bad to get access to a massive international platform that you don't have to manage, look after, sort in terms of a shop. I think it's a really small price to pay to get access to the volume of customers eBay has. I mean, I'm interested in your thoughts, and I've been in business for 20 years. I've run several businesses, still have several businesses, and I just know that 2 or 3% to get access to what you've got with eBay isn't a lot of money. Now, obviously, eBay's dead and buying's dead is a little bit similar. So is it going to put me off from buying something off eBay? Not particularly, no. It's not going to put me off buying anything from eBay. It just depends on the price, really. Depends if the seller has reduced the price enough to cover the cost of the buyer protection fee. And it's not that I'm going to be looking for the cost to be covered. It's just whether or not the price is more competitive or not. This is what I think is going to happen to the sellers that sell those small items. It could become uncompetitive to obviously sell on eBay and to buy on eBay. I mean, the buyer protection fee is a load of fluff, 24-hour customer service. You've still got your buyer protection. Don't really know what they're actually getting out of it as a buyer. I don't know what's different. Is there any benefits whatsoever to what they've put in place? It's no different, is it? Let's think about it. eBay always usually sides with the buyer anyway, so that hasn't changed, and nor has it got any better. So it's all a load of fluff, but at the end of the day, they reduce the costs and the fees for private sellers. So they had to put that charge in somewhere. And yes, they've copied Vinted. Everyone in the comments was saying they've copied Vinted. Yeah, they have copied Vinted. That's business. That's what happens. You have to transition, you have to change. If your model isn't working, you look at what models are working and you copy them, and that's exactly what they've done. It's obviously working for Vinted, so I can't see why it won't work for eBay. Do you know what was a really common comment on that TikTok post? Is that no one uses eBay anymore. I think it really depends on what you're selling. It really does. I don't have a problem selling on eBay. I've sold some stuff on eBay I never thought would sell in a million years. But I actually think a lot of things that get bought on eBay are things that you can't find in the common world. Like old vintage things and scarce items, antique items, things that are just hard to find. People reloving an old hobby and they need something very specific that isn't made anymore. I think those items are an absolute dream on eBay and sell very easily. So in answer to that, yeah, I still think people use eBay a lot. I know a lot of resellers that get really good results and really good sales off eBay, but maybe it just depends on what you're selling. So what's the final take home from this video? If you're a private seller, nothing's going to change in terms of cost. You're just going to have to wait 2 days or 14 days to get your money. The buyer is going to incur an additional charge, so that is going to put the price of your item up, but that could be combated with you dropping the price that you would have originally sold it for before these fees came out. But most importantly, you are going to have to make sure that you use the correct tracking postal service. That will make sure when the item is delivered, your eBay account will be updated with a delivered notification. That is the absolute must. And this is what I think is going to be the problem for those items less than 15 or 10 pound, because your postal cost is going to increase by £1, £2, depending on which service that you use, plus the buyer's protection fee, which might add another £1, £2 on there. So it could be that those items are going to become maybe £2, £3, £4 more expensive. You might be priced out the market if you're selling low price items. That's my gut feeling. If you've got good margin in items, 20, 30 or 40 pound and upwards, I think you're just going to have to absorb the cost a little bit. That's what I'll be doing. If I was going to sell something for 60 quid, I might just list it for 57. I've still got good margin in the product. I might lose 2 or 3 quid, but as I said before, I think 2 or 3% is a small price to pay to get access to the facility that you have with eBay. So look, I hope this video was a little bit useful for you. I would definitely recommend that you follow my TikTok account. I have some amazing videos on there and some content that I don't share on YouTube about my amazing finds and the money that I make on items that you would never dream of buying. And of course, make sure that you subscribe to Dusty Cartridge for more informative content like this. And I will be producing in 2005 a lot more footage of me walking around car boots so you can learn about the things that you would never think about buying. And on my TikTok, I do go live at least 3 or 4 times a week. So if you want to see me packing, you want to see me buying live at car boots, definitely drop my TikTok a follow. But more importantly, subscribe here, because I will be doing lives on YouTube in 2025. I would love to hear your thoughts on what I've discussed here. If you've got any ideas or if you've got any questions, feel free to drop a comment and I will do my utmost best to reply and give you whatever advice I can give you with my 20 years business, marketing and sales experience. Have an amazing day and have a successful 2025.